Good evening, everyone, and good morning to the ones who are joining from the other countries. For the last session of our first day of ELT Summit 2020, we have a friend from Florida, Zsuzsanna Bekesi Smith. Zsuzsanna is a seasoned and wholehearted educator. She has been working online for many years. She has trained more than 1,000 teachers online and on-site. She has worked in more than 17 countries. She is an award-winning inventor, a people-friendly curriculum developer, and an emotional integration facilitator. Today, she is going to talk on how to adapt to the new waves of online teaching. I'm sure we are going to have a great learning experience with her. So over to you, Susanna.
Thank you. And I just want to slam jam in the middle. Hi, everyone. I see the chat is firing up. Fantastic. Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending where you guys are. And it's really good to see everybody here. We started a few minutes late, and I have a lot of goodies for you today. So I want to get started. So the first thing that I wanted to make sure that you all know that I'm so truly and absolutely grateful for you showing up. This is your Saturday, I think, everywhere in the world. And I truly, truly appreciate you being here and wanting to do something constructive and beneficial with your time. That's wonderful. And I think we often are very keenly aware of what we do not right, but I want you to be very proud of yourself and pat yourself on the back for being here today. It's awesome. It's fantastic. And the new waves of teaching online is the topic. And practically what we're going to talk about is what have changed lately. The right question, I think, is mainly that what haven't changed in the past few months, right? You probably hear this a lot, and you may already be desensitized, but we live in unprecedented times. And I'm not going to harp on that, especially not about how uncertain and ambiguous and volatile everything has been. We hear a lot about that, right? But let's just rip one single Band-Aid off real fast before we dive into the goodies. Education has changed forever, and there is no going back. And this is not a doom or a gloom that I want to talk more about. It's just the fact that the world has changed drastically, so has education. And we had to and still have to pivot and do it really fast. Over 30 million jobs have been lost only in the United States up till May. And many of us see the solution actually in pivoting in a way that online teaching is going to be a source of income and stability in the future. And we are right, guys. I will tell you why in a minute. If you agree, please let me know in the comments if you are thinking about online education being your source of stability and income. And before we dive in, instead of zooming in on the doom of these really interesting times, I want to bring some of my optimism to you about the waves of change that's happening, okay? First, I would like you to consider how fortunate we are that we can make an online transition. Think about those who are in the sport industry or travel industry or performing arts industry, like some of my friends are, and all services attached to tourism. They have no chance to transfer their services like we do. So we are the lucky ones, my friends. We can look at this chance that others do not and did not have to deliver an incredibly valuable and innovative education to our students. We only have to adapt a little bit and change the format. Adaptability and resilience are going to be essential values to future success, and those are the skills that you can acquire. It's not something that's really hard to learn. So that was number one. Number two, I would like you to consider that this crisis may bring beneficial and very needed shifts in education by tearing down the walls that were restrictive and outdated and redefining the ways of learning and teaching and how we can teach and who can teach who. A lot of us in education have honestly hoped for a change like this. Obviously not for the reasons that it happened, but it is so important to see that these new waves are also exciting and that we are on board with them. And that was my surfing pose. But I also understand if you're not ready to get there yet. You can feel like a kitten on the glass table a little bit, and we can definitely say that, hey, hold the phone, Zsuzsanna, let me get out of this fight, flight, or freeze mode first, and then save the whole world. So that's exactly what we will do together here today, and I want to make it really interactive, and it will be all about where we are and what we can do in the now and where we would like to be in the future. Basic things first to help to calm the amygdala down and lower the adrenaline levels a little bit, and then we can take the strategic steps that I want to share with you today. And those can be applied on a much broader range of proactive and strategic planning. So I'm super excited to share these tools with you. And a fun fact, just a little fun side note before we dive in, this is actually a pre-pandemic prediction. According to Forbes, in 2025, the online education industry will be worth $325 billion. I cannot even imagine what that number is right now after the pandemic or during the pandemic that we are going through. So why not to have a slice of that pie, right? Let's dive in. I'm going to share my screen, and in a second I will also check the comments because I cannot do both at the same time. Very good. Let me see the chat here. Yes, yes, yes. A lot of yeses, a lot of true yes. Fantastic. Agreed from Mandana. And yeah, very good. I have a little bit of an issue pronouncing everybody's name. I'm sorry about that. I try to do my best, okay, whenever I talk to you guys. So, those who don't know me yet, I am Zsuzsanna. Originally, I'm from Hungary, but having lived in 17 different countries, as Tarun already said in the introduction, I call myself a nomad. I think rightfully so. Currently, we are settled in sunny and humid Florida with my husband, who is a pilot and an absolute sweetheart, and I have a huge crush on him. I am an educator of 20 plus years, a tutor, a mentor, a teacher of all age groups, and a trainer of 1,000 plus teachers, English teachers actually. I worked in the ESL industry mostly, and I spent some time in the kindergarten industry as well. I've developed curriculum for teachers and parents and students, and I'm also a trained doula. Not many people know that about me, which is a birth practitioner. And I'm also a research nerd, and that's something that I like to say and admit, and I have no problems with that. I have also been labeled hopeless as a student throughout my entire school career, which made me a rebel and a misfit. And I am, ever since, I'm completely obsessed with this revolution of education that is happening as we speak. I want to be part of it. I want to make a positive change. And one quick side note here for those who are thinking about teaching online or are teaching online and try to be independent maybe. I have never been employed in my entire life and has been a freelancer, for a while a learning center owner and a contractor in the private education industry throughout my entire career. And honestly, I have made a lot more money than most of my peers at the Department of Education where I got my MA degree. And this is not a brag. I'm sharing these facts openly only because I want you to know that it is possible to create a lifestyle you want for yourself with teaching. And I want to be a good example of that. Next, I would like to talk about you lovely people. And there will be lots of interactive slides and a Q&A at the end. But as a warm-up, I would like to know how, back to the previous slide. I would like to know if you have to express in one word how you are, what would you say? So anything works from exhausted to excited. Let me see how people feel. Optimistic. Perfect. Santosh is also optimistic. Duani, different from others. Very good. You see my sign, be the exception. Great, good, crazy at times. Vanita, I can completely relate to that. Great, very good. Rosie, fantastic. Yeah, thoughtful and curious. What a good position to be in, Anne. Wonderful. Thank you, thank you. Need some water in this excitement. Oh, Benita feels reflective. Beautiful. Thank you, thank you. Thinking at overthinking. Oh yeah, I'm a specialist of that. Grateful. Thank you, Dr. Lena. Fantastic. Fantastic. Good. Keep them coming. I'm just gonna move on because I want to share the next goodies. Mahima, motivated to learn more. What a good place to be. You guys are not so desperate anymore. A few months ago when I talked to people, they were a lot more volatile, I can say. Okay, cool. So the first thing that I want to talk about is alignment. In terms of online teaching, we will explore what is there and where you are at. But first of all, I want to talk about something before we get into the nitty-gritty, and this is alignment and why is it important and what I mean by alignment. This is my first trade secret when I work with teachers. Later, we will look at cool pragmatic steps together, which will help you to gain clarity. But if we are misaligned with ourselves and with what we do, no actions will bring the desired results. Teaching and building an independent online teaching business or any teaching job, I hope you agree, is as much of a personal development spiritual journey as it is a practical and financial one. And we all do things in our own time. And I would say alignment is step 0. That's before we actually launch ourselves into any action. This is where you actually sit with some fundamental questions and decide which directions you want to take. You can also see and feel where there is a lot of misalignment, right? I kind of still feel the aftermath of how we all had to transition to online teaching from one day to the other completely unexpectedly. We had no time to prep, right? And it was like the entire teacher population on the planet, and we had to do it together. And by the way, most of us did brilliantly, right? I'm not sure if any other people in any other industry could have done it so gracefully like teachers did. So I'm really, really proud of the teacher community. At the same time, it was a slugfest. It wasn't easy. And some of us may still are hopped up on adrenaline, and it was a little bit like the scene in Braveheart. I don't know if you have seen that movie. It's the movie with when the Scottish people fight for freedom, led by Mel Gibson with very long hair. And I have a picture of this for you guys, okay? So transitioning to online teaching felt a tiny bit like this for some of the people that I spent time with. And just like in the movie, when they are getting ready for the battle, we all have like blue food coloring face paint, and we are out on the field running. And a part of me just wants to go like, whoa, 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 time out, put your spears down. What the hell are we doing here? What's the purpose of all this? Where are we running and what are we running from and where are we heading to? And I often have this conversation with myself. That's alignment. So instead of this, we want to kind of get into this mode, right? That's a better space to be altogether. And this is necessary if we would like to create a positive ripple effect that most teachers want to create in the world. I have another slide with rocks for you. Are you ready? So I'm sure that everybody knows the fable of the university professor who brought in an empty jar into his class and filled it with big rocks and asked the students if the jar was full. And of course they said that, yeah, the jar was full. And then he went on and filled it with pebbles and asked the same question and then filled it with sand and finally with water. The whole point of alignment is if you are aligned, you know what you have to put in your jar first. If you fill it with sand first, there are no other things that will fit in there. And I love this metaphor because only a few big rocks fill the jar, okay? And those are your priorities. And ideally, you have only a few, like health and family and professional fulfillment of those. By the way, in English language, priority was singular for hundreds of years. Lately, we started to use the plural format, but it was an expression for single focus. Okay, but what to focus on? When the focus is right and you prioritize right, it will result in success. But first of all, you have to think for a minute what to put in your jar first. So I invite you to think with me. And now, as I promised, let's talk about you. I'm curious at what stage you are now on that journey to success. And we will also align as a group more. So I have a couple questions for you. There are different options, and what I would like to ask you to do is throw the number in the chat, and I'm going to go back and check the chat in the meantime for the comments. Beautiful metaphor, inspiring. Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Lena. I love the jar thing. The whole topic is so applicable. Fantastic. So number two, number two, number two, number two. A lot of twos. People teach in a brick and mortar school, and I believe that you had to move to online teaching. Is that right? 4, 4, 4, 4. There are a lot of independent teachers out there trying to teach without the scaffolding of an institution, which can be very helpful sometimes, but it can also be quite restrictive, especially if it's not an ideal workplace, right? Good, a lot of school teachers. Very good. Okay, so let's see the next question. Let me see, why isn't it moving? There you go. That's the next one. Where are you at as an online teacher in terms of online teaching? Same thing, just throw the number in the chat. You want to teach online, you have to, you don't necessarily want to, but this is what we gotta do right now. Number 3 is if you're already teaching online, but maybe you need a little bit more confidence. And number 4 is if you are a rock star online teacher and you are loving it. Let's see. A lot of 3s, very good. There is 4, 4, 4, fantastic. There are people who want to go online, very good. That's a very good place to be. To be open-minded about that. 2 and 4, you feel like you don't want to, but you are so rocking it. Patricia, that's fantastic answer. I love that. You gotta do what you gotta do, and you may as well be good at it. There are a lot of 3s and 4s. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. And the last question in this row, in this segment, and I'm not sure why I can't click. There you go. What is your goal? Where would you like to be? Now we defined where we are, and let's see where we want to be. That's kind of an important thing to know. You either want to teach as a traditional school for a teacher's salary, if it's possible, right? We will see what's possible in the future. You do want to teach online, working for one of the few different companies like Dada or VIP Kids or some of those large companies. You want to teach independently, but not sure where to start, how to go about it, and want to be more successful freelancer, contractor working online, or you already have a thriving teaching business. Fantastic. Let me see. Who is where? 2, 3, 4. Nice. 3, 2. Wonderful. Everybody wants to move to some sort of teaching business or teaching for a large company which is semi-independent, right? 2 and 4, Monita, teach for different companies, and you want to teach as a freelancer as well. Yes, number 5 is my favorite, as you probably know already because of what I do. So the next thing that I wanted to show you is where do I come in? I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I'm not a big expert on teaching in school for a salary, but what's my gem, what my zone of genius is that I help independent teachers to streamline their teaching business so they don't have to work for a big company and they can keep most of their money and they can work on their own terms from anywhere around the world. So this is what I can help people with. This is what I love helping people with. And I must tell you that teachers have kept me quite busy lately because the laptop lifestyle gets a huge hype among teachers and tutors as well, especially nowadays. No wonder it sounds really awesome that you can do the work that you love, choose your own student, pick your own content, pick your own schedule, work from anywhere around the world, making a comfortable income. On top of that, no lockdown will ever bring us down again, right? But we need to fill the jar with the right things in order to do so, right? And this is not only for those who want to go independent, but if you are an aspiring online teacher in general who wants to thrive, what are the big rocks? And this is what we have time for today, to talk about the big rocks, and the pebbles and the sand can come in later, okay? And of course, I keep the surfing and riding the waves metaphor throughout the presentation. So the first thing that is very important, and I only have 3 big rocks as I promised, is clarity. You need to get clear on a lot of things, but most of all on you. You have to be super clear on who you are and why you are here and what are you going to do in the world. Next, you need to get clear on who you want to teach. And this is true if you work for a company or a school or anywhere else. These are the clarity moments that we all need to have as teachers. I hope you agree. 1 second. So if you get clear on who you want to teach, this is how you cut through the noise and stand out in the crowd if you want to be a successful online teacher, so the right people hear you loud and clear among the 1.5 billion English students online. It is a very good idea. This is one of my favorite Jedi mind tricks, to play with the why, who, how, what, where, and when game, okay? And when you spend time with those actions, the simplest answers can help to gain clarity. Do you know Simon Sinek's TED Talk about find your why? Most people start with what? I want to teach English. That's what I want to do. And then they kind of go launch themselves into action. What do I want to teach? English, of course. But I invite you to drill down to your own very good reason. Let it be a comfortable income or fulfillment or balance or freedom or all those. These can be all your reasons, your whys. Those are your values that you can build the rest on it. And why you can build the rest on your why. That's what I mean to say here. And it can help you to create a vision that will fuel your fire and help you through challenges when not everything is unicorns and rainbows, okay? Building a teaching service from scratch or being a freelancer or working for a company is a lot of work, and it's not only about following your passion. And that's when you need to know why you're doing all this. Okay, when you are clear on your reasons and when you are clear on who you teach and how you teach them and what you teach to them, because English is kind of broad and you can get a lot more specific, then it's time to apply a really good strategy. And a little clarification here, okay? Strategizing work does not mean researching and theorizing and planning only. We need to roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty. We need to engage with our students, with our peers, try things out, see what works, what doesn't, then tweak the process and get out there and try again. Plans that need to be done right because we have clarity and we understand what's a priority. And then it has to be broken down into crazy, simple, strategic baby steps. And it needs to be implemented in a schedule. That's how things will get done. And those steps need to feel doable for you. That's how a strategy will actually be followed, because we often have a fantastic strategy, but after a few days or weeks, we kind of fall off the map. And it happens often because we overplan everything, and also we don't see how can it be all done. I will talk about this for a minute in a little bit later if we have time for that. When you're teaching online, this is more or less a lifestyle that we need to embrace as online English teacher. And like other lifestyle changes, this is not just another get rich or get skinny or get married quickly fad, but something that you need to change incrementally until it becomes your new normal. I know this doesn't sound as sexy and as enticing as follow your heart and everything will be okay. But I don't like when people are sold on that. Of course, it's fantastic when you finally leave the brick and mortar and you start doing something that feels a lot freer. But there has to be clarity and there has to be strategy. And the last point that comes will be adaptability. Everything can be fulfilling and enjoyable, I promise, when you start doing the things the way how you want to do it. But again, this is not the time to share more details about this. I could harp on this for a long time. I want to get to the third big rock here, which is adaptability. We need to understand that in the service industry, and if you're an online teacher who's not working for a school, you are in the service industry. And in there, everything moves all the time. Think about this whole thing as thinking about, you know, your teaching job or your teaching business or your teaching service as something static, and things, once it gets done and it stays done. That can be detrimental and a setup for continuous frustration and disappointment. When we provide a service, and teaching is service in under every circumstance, at least that's my philosophy, it can thrive only if it stays fluid and flexible. We learn from our people, our students, our peers, as much as they learn from us. And I hope you believe in this cycle as well. I learned most from my students and not from my university professors. No offense to the professors here. In our industry, in this sense, adaptability creates resilience and stability, right? Although it sounds a little bit contradictory at the beginning. And before we dive into our little Q&A session, I want to share one of my favorite little hacks that you can use systematically to overcome challenges. So let's see that last idea here, okay? And then I'm gonna have a discussion with you guys. I see three main reasons why teachers are not riding the waves, why they are not getting aligned, getting clarity, getting a good strategy in place, and are able to adapt to the changes that are coming. And those are the three main reasons. There are many more, but they often fall into one of these categories. Confusion, not knowing where to start, being lost, overwhelmed. Oh my gosh, I have so much to do that I don't even know what to do next. And it leads to paralysis when my strategy for that is grab a bucket of ice cream and sit down and watch TV. I don't know if anybody has been there before, but that's what I do actually. And the third one is being stuck. It's like something is not right, but it's also not moving forward. Not fun, right? So are you ready for the solutions? I drew a little map for you, and I call it a map because if you get to the problem, like for example, I am confused, if you find that in the little triangle, it will launch you into where do you have to go? What do you have to do? Gain more clarity, refine your strategy, or adapt what you do in case you feel in that particular way. I wanted to talk. Let me see the time. Perfect timing, guys. I have one more minute to talk about these things, and then we're going to talk together with each other, okay? So I wanted to elaborate a little bit what is what here. Confusion in this case is connected to feeling lost and not knowing where to start or what to do. And that often leads to analysis paralysis. Funnily enough, we have too much information coming to us, and it has the same effect as when you have no information at all. You have no clue what to do next, right? And the symptoms can be avoidance or pseudo working or the paralysis that I already mentioned, and all three can do that. All three triangles problems can do that, by the way. I know that I can rationalize my choices of avoidance very, very easily and go and watch Netflix with a bag of chips in the middle of the day. And when that happens, I'm most likely confused or overwhelmed, or I feel stuck. I just need to figure out which one so I can get out of the pickle. When you pseudo work, it means, for example, for me, that I do more and more research, and my laptop already, my desktop on my laptop looks like a hoarder's hallway. I have all these downloads and all these data to analyze, and I'm not going anywhere. It's procrastination in a way that doing this kind of research does not really require real action. I can just hide behind my computer screen all day and stay in my comfort zone, and I also fool myself that I'm doing something useful, but without any real action taken. Research is important. I'm a research nerd. But you have to get out of that mode after you are done with the basic, you have the basic knowledge to start moving forward. In this case, you need to sit down and gain clarity and go back and answer the WH questions and decide on your priorities. So overwhelm, a couple words about overwhelm. This overwhelm does not come from being confused, but more like not having strategic steps planned out, which can also lead to paralysis and coping when there's a mountain of unsurmountable tasks. And this means that you're not having a proper actionable plan. If you are clear on your priorities, but there is too much to do, then choose your strategy and break it down into tiny little baby steps. It can be crazy simple. Like if you have to go shopping, what's your first thing to do? You need to write a shopping list. So you need the pencil and the paper. It's that simple, right? And finally, if you feel stuck from time to time, when this happens, it's a sign that you need to become flexible and fluid and creative. And although, yes, we have to have consistency following a strategic plan, but we don't want to get rigid, okay? However pragmatic a strategy can be, sometimes we get stuck with it. So it's always a good idea to give yourself some grace and see where and what can you tweak in a way that it would work better. Okay, so that's my little map that I wanted to share with you. I want to thank you so much for paying attention, and now I'm all ears. I'm ready to have a talk with you, and I can take a sip of my coffee as well. Thank you. Good timing, huh?
Yes, so thank you very much for your creative inputs. And as I could see, the comment box, I mean the chat box flooded with the inputs from the participants, right?
Yes.
One thing that I would like to tell you about your presentation was it was very interactive.
Very what?
Very interactive and
Thank
engaging,
you.
like because you could easily connect to the audience, and they were constantly like engaged. So I congratulate you for
Thank you. Thank you.
doing
Comes
that.
with practice.
Definitely, yes.
Let me see what's in the Q&A, okay? So we can have a little
Yes.
conversation. And guys, I don't mind doing overtime because we started a bit late, and luckily I'm the last one today.
So we
Dr.
have Atul, like you can just, would you like to go through the question yourself?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
you
I'm
can
just
just
going to
click on
quickly read
Q&A.
it. Challenges and possible solutions in engaging and motivating digital native learners in online learning. Engaging students in general, I don't know if this is typical for online learning or not, but to student engagement in general, let me know if if this is actually an answer to your question. But engaging students in a digital format is a kind of a different animal than engaging people in a normal classroom. There are a couple things that are the same and a couple things that are not. What I think mainly is missing from the online environment is that special glue, which is invisible, that is there in physical forms of interaction when people can hang out and just have a little bit of an informal connection with each other and with their teacher. In the online learning environment, if you can provide that to native learners or non-native learners, if you can provide that, your student retention will actually go up. This is a general answer because I'm not really sure why it would be different to digital native learners. I know what you mean now. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about native English speakers. Those who are absolutely fluent in learning. They are very comfortable being online. Is that what you mean, Dr. Atul? Let me see if he's here in the
Yes, Atul
chat.
Patil.
Yes,
Yes, he is
very
there.
good. Yes, that's what you mean. Okay, so now I got you. In general, I think that amazing, especially young learners, this is my experience with teens and people who are the millennials, let's say, and I don't like to use that word. It's a bit loaded lately, and I kind of feel for these kids because it's not easy for them to be young right now. Anyhow, what I think is that you cannot really amaze them with tech knowledge. I mean, they are so many light years ahead of me, and they teach me how to use my own phone. Okay, so those people who grew up with this, they don't think that it's really flashy and awesome, all the tools that we are using. It's just natural for them, right? What they don't have that much fluency in either at the same time is the actual human connection. That's the challenge that these people have. They have these dopamine pings for all the different devices that they have, but basic human interaction skills are not taught. If you can have as a hidden curriculum particular type of human interaction techniques, like how to talk to each other, and you can just set an example for them as such and create that what we call the campfire effect, that is where people actually gather and feel good and they want to come closer because it's warm and it's welcoming. That is something that is less related to the curriculum and more related to the environment that you create for these people. And it doesn't have to be fancy and it doesn't have to be high tech to create that atmosphere with your presence. Yes, thank you, thank you. I hope that answers your question, and I want to go to the others. Oh my gosh, we have plenty. Tarun, we may be here until
Yes,
midnight.
Raki. It's Raki Pandey.
Raki, would love to know more about how your organization works. Do you help connect educators to institutions require online teaching? What I do, I'm going to share my contact with everybody in the chat at the end, and I did put my website up. I know it was just a flash. What I actually do is, oops, the question disappeared. Oops,
Oh, I'm
where did
sorry,
it
I
go?
put it in
There you
answered. You
go.
can click on answered.
Answered.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I just want to make sure that I do this right. I don't connect educations to institutions because what I believe that we can all do a good job without having an organization as a scaffolding for us. What I do connect people to is different support groups and different communities where they can actually find people who do the same thing, and they can have that peer support and that support online that normally a good functioning faculty would provide to teachers. So I don't do recruitment for organizations, but I do know people who do that full time. So I can connect you with the right people, Raki. Next, fantastic. Foresee a huge demand and it will last. What about when a vaccine is released? Will it not go back to traditional face-to-face teaching? That's a very good one. I love this question. So hopefully there will be a vaccine, right? Hopefully we will come out of this crisis as we came out of different crises in the past as human beings, yes? At the same time, I do believe that you cannot unlearn what we're learning now. There are so many things that became flexible and became a lot more viable online, and we had the world, the society, the workforce had a resistance to apply these because we want to hold on to something that has been working for hundreds of years, even if it's outdated and it's not the best way to do it. At the same time, there are so many articles, if you look online, how people actually don't want to go back to the cubicle kind of 9-to-5 work style, even when the crisis ends. And company leaders are declaring that at least half of their workforce will work on remote. So I think the effect will be long lasting, and it will last a lot longer, and the impact, hopefully the positive impact, will be a lot longer lasting than, you know, the whole virus thing. So that's my answer to that one. I hope it helped. COVID-19, oops, has definitely given us the opportunity to explore the other side of ourselves, but how to ensure one's mental well-being when deep down into the ocean of technology. Very good. Yeah, that's one of my topics too that I love to think about and talk about. Yeah, the only option that to have, I think we are all challenged one way or another, because the social animals that we are need human interaction. And that's what I see the biggest lack in, that people don't have anymore. I don't know that much about, you know, mentally challenged people. Mental well-being needs to be maintained offline and online, and some people are more fortunate than the others, right? So what I can say to that, and I'm also talking about the special needs students that I had to work with, and, you know, people with different disabilities, that we need to do our best in the given circumstances. That's what teachers do. You can do as much as you can, and you do your best, but we cannot change the world as a whole. So what can you do for your people under the given circumstances, and how to create an environment that resembles what they are the most comfortable with under the given circumstances. So I'm so sorry I cannot go into this. I would love to have a proper conversation about this, because this is one of my topics that is really close to my heart, but that's my short answer. To do your best in the given under the given circumstances. That's what teachers have done for thousands of years, right? Fantastic. How can validity and reliability of testing achieved through online teaching? It's funny because yesterday I read a bunch of articles, research nerd, about how testing will not be the best way to actually decide if students have particular skills that they need to move on in studies. They are waiving big tests in the US lately. Even the bar exam is being questioned for lawyers. So I think the entire testing industry and the way how we rely on tests to decide someone's ability and someone's skills, how good they are at something, is going to be challenged big time in general. And hopefully there will be a revolution when standardized testing will be replaced with a much more sophisticated tool that can check more skills and not just particular very small segments of the IQ. This is what I think about the whole testing topic in general. I don't know if that answers the question at all or not. Rosie is asking if we can engage learners in critical thinking in online teaching. I think critical thinking is not necessarily platform-based or location-based. Critical thinking is something that you create in a very elaborate and really well-planned lesson. right? If you give them the right questions, if you give them the right activities, cooperation techniques, pair work, group work, and so on, discussion and time for it. This is one thing that we don't have online. We somehow don't leave them time to do those little things when they do a little bit of thinking, a little bit of discussion, and allow to do less but better. This is what a lot of teachers need to refine their skills on online, because we kind of try to rush through everything and squeeze everything in a lesson plan. I'm not talking about you, Rosie. I'm talking about my people. But it's so much more important, especially when you want to teach them skills like critical thinking or problem solving, that you give them time to participate and to actually practice and apply those skills immediately in the lesson. Maybe less theory and a lot more doing. Yes. How to Mm, I don't see how to help to become an independent teacher. I'm going to throw my website in the chat and you guys can definitely check it out. I have so much information on that there. Okay. In the context of young learners, virtual schooling will lead to lack of social skills. Yes, yes, yes. How to fill up the gap of social skills? Young learners will have to face challenges. And you know, I come from a country that was war-torn every 50 years. And I see the generations growing up with different, you know, crises going through their lives and what happens to them in terms of social skills. This is another crisis. One thing that makes me really optimistic about that, we actually face this crisis together. There are amazing thinkers and amazing people like yourself who are trying to make it better, and we're trying to do our best to provide those elements that are necessary, and whatever we can do when we're doing our best for young learners to kind of make up for those social skills. That's the best we can do right now, to create that campfire effect again, to give them chances to express themselves, to connect, to listen, to sit there and listen. I often just let my students to be present after the lesson is done. I sit there for 10 more minutes doing something, you know, I don't even have to be there. I'm just monitoring what's happening, and I let them engage with each other freely, not in the lesson context. That's one thing that you can do. And 4 years olds react beautifully. They tell stories to each other about Spider-Man, and they are really, really happy just to hang out. And that's something that you can provide in the lesson context as well, even if it takes up a little bit of time. The last official question that we have here is how to cope with the health issues because of yeah, I wish I could help you with that. I'm not really a professional in health issues with the technical devices. I know the effects on me. I know how tired I get from looking at this square-shaped bubble where the world comes to me every single day. I know how hard it is to actually detach from it. And I have to make a conscious choice and a conscious effort to be unplugged and to go out there and look at something green for a minute and take a little time to check if I drink enough water, if I rest my eyes, because it's not fun to apply the screensaver that helps to dim the lights and all those other things. You do your best in terms of self-care and others' care if you have kids and you have other people around you who you care for, like you do in any other environment. And consciousness is the key here, to be aware that you need to put conscious effort into, you know, doing things for yourself and for those who are working with technology. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Fantastic. Let me copy paste my connections. Oh, regarding the community, I also have a Facebook group, and it's full of amazing little Jedi mind tricks. And did you guys get it? Yeah, there you go. And discussions with amazing individuals and professionals. It's all for free, for grabs. You guys can access it. If I see you among the, sorry, I'm just not good at multitasking. There, that's my website. If I see you applying for the group, I'm going to admit you into the group, and you have a flood of wonderful little tutorials and hacks and videos. And as I said, lovely experts are also talking about particular topics like curriculum development and how to funnel your online teaching business, and also time management skills and all sorts of other stuff. So that's in the Facebook group, that's in the chat, and there is my website to those who are interested in possibly going independent in the teaching, in the online teaching world. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Interesting section. Dr. Sheetal says, new scopes for online learning. Yes, absolutely. No link? Which link is not there, Dwani? Let me do it again.
Well,
You
to the
guys are on
participants,
fire.
we have her website link on our website as well. I mean, on
Fantastic.
eltsummit.com, you can go to the speakers page and click on her name, and her
Yes.
profile and website and Facebook page links are there. So you
Thank
can get
you.
it
Thank
from
you.
there
Thank
as
you.
well. Yes.
I think it went up in the chat so fast because
Yes, it is
everybody
there.
is
It
so
is there.
engaged.
Yes, yes.
That's wonderful.
I'll just
Thank
copy
you.
paste again so that like they can have it. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Right.
There it is. Two links
Yes, yes.
again.
Yes, it is.
Encourage teachers for being innovative. Thank you. That's
Yes.
my thing, you know. I love it. I love the feedback. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I haven't seen any of the other panelists, so I cannot compare what I've done to them. But I did what I'm best at, which is helping people to gain clarity and to find direction in this new world.
Yes, definitely.
Fantastic.
And here, as Dr. Sheetal Rawat writes, you have you have just encouraged teachers for being innovative. All right. So we have a session by Marjorie Rosenberg in the afternoon, and she shared plenty of ideas on how to adjust in the new normal, right? How to be innovative. And here you gave us a boost of creativity.
Fantastic.
So,
I wish I could have seen hers. Maybe I can see her.
no, yes, we will share her recording with you very soon. All right. So,
Wonderful.
Zsuzsanna, on behalf of all the participants and the team of ELT Summit 2020, I thank you very much for being with us. Like you were, as I had told you, you were the first one to agree for being a part of this event, and that has worked as a wonderful thing for us. We could get a wonderful speaker lineup, and the participants have enjoyed it throughout the day. Even tomorrow we have 4 more sessions and presentations by the participants. So I hope that is going to be an enriching experience for everyone. But I'm happy to tell you that this particular session has helped everyone and uh, has fetched maximum number of comments.
Thank
Right.
you.
So that's something different about your session. So thank you very much once again for being with us. If you have some last message for our participants, please do share it.
This is the time of change, and it is really up to us if you're riding on top of the waves or we sink down at the bottom. And I think you all have the ability. This is my thing. That's why I'm so passionate about these changes, because we all have the ability to adapt and to become innovative and absolutely wonderfully adjustable. Because that's what teachers are. Teachers are so fantastic, and they already have the skills to do things right, even in changing times. Just use the skills that you already have, and
Yes.
everybody is going to be fine. And we're going to create a brand new world here that will be better than the previous one.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And that's so hopeful, and definitely we are going to make it. So thank you very much once again, Zsuzsanna, for being with us. I also thank all the participants for being with us. We have spent some 7 hours together, and you could stay with us for the whole day. So that's something that speaks for the conference.
That's
So
dedication, yes.
yes, yes. So thank you very much once again. Goodbye for now. We'll meet tomorrow at 9. We have a session by Dr. Zadan Patil, and then we will move on. Thank you very much, Zsuzsanna. Thanks a lot.
Thank
And
you,
thank you very
guys.
much, all the participants. See you.
Thank you,
Goodbye.
Tarun.
Goodbye.